All right, I am streaming now, and this is a little bit of the pre-show. Hello, my name is Frank Lavinia, and in case you don't know who I am, there is my URL, or multiple URLs you can find me at franksworld.com, datadriven.tv, and impactquantum.com. Today is a little thing I like to call High Impact Tuesday. I probably should change the name to Max Impact Tuesdays, but I don't know. I kind of like the High Impact Tuesday. Um, you'll notice that over the last 2 years, I've kind of started using the word impact more. There's Impact Quantum, there's High Impact Tuesdays. There's a good story behind that. And if you follow some of the folks and some of the conversations on LinkedIn, you can probably notice a pattern there. But I'll leave that as a puzzle for another day. Today is International Women's Day, March 8th. This is 2022. And, there's going to be a lot of content, a lot of pundits talk about this, but I would recommend recognizing women not just one day of the year or 1 month of the year. I understand why these holidays exist, but you really should just recognize their contribution to society every day. But that's just me. I want to call out that, some of the biggest people who have had a major impact on my lives have been women. My maternal grandmother, for sure, and my mom, for sure. May they both rest in peace now. That it's still kind of fresh, so I'm still not used to referring to my mom in past tense. Also, my wife. My wife is a wonderful woman, very smart cookie too. In fact, she is a cybersecurity expert, and I don't have daughters, but my boys do see that there is a strong woman in the STEM field is their mom. So whenever they encounter somebody saying women are not suited to that field, they'll know immediately that that's 100% BS. But that's kind of it. Just may my mom and grandmother rest in peace. It's the As sad as it is the circle of life, and it is what it is. Other than that, I like to give a shout out to some awesome women in tech. Most of the women I know professionally are women in tech, so um, so, so first, big shout out to Kim Schmidt, the unbreakable Kim Schmidt. Kim Schmidt is at Amazon now. Kim and I used to have a little startup called Data Leader. I think the domain name's still active, but Kim is now at Amazon. Kim's doing some amazing stuff there in data and AI and analytics. Another big shout out to Noelle Silver, who is, you know, her career is very interesting. She um, has worked on Alexa. She's worked on Cortana. She's currently at AI at IBM doing kind of AI ethics, that sort of thing, um, and which is I think a sorely needed thing as we get into kind of the all things kind of touch AI or data at some point, and all data and AI touch our lives at some point. And those are just the ones that come off the top of my head. There's quite a number, but those are the top ones I can think of. And that's all I got. There's Obviously, as you know, there's a major conflict brewing in Ukraine, and big shout out to the folks that are taking in the refugees. Apparently, there's some now arriving in the DC area, and some families are taking them in. So God bless them for doing that. I don't have any recommended charities. I'd recommend that you look up recommended charities from a trusted source, because there's going to be a lot of scammers taking advantage of this, and I honestly have not kept up on that. I do know that there are some apparently coming to the neighborhood. My heart goes out to them. I can't, I unfortunately have the experience of what happened at the Trade Center, where both my office and apartment were destroyed in a blink of an eye. And You can't overstate the how traumatic that is to go from just a normal day to a war zone in a heartbeat. And you know, that was just a day for me. I got out the following day. I can't imagine what this is like. And at least with Ground Zero, it kind of sort of maybe got back to normal in about a year. I think that even if the fighting stops today, which it's not, I don't think Ukraine's going to go back to normal for um 3 to 5 years, better part of a decade. That's assuming it starts today. It stops today, which by all accounts it's not. I would encourage you to um turn off the news and kind of spend some time with loved ones, because this isn't ending anytime soon, and this is going to be a marathon, not a sprint. So if you're a news junkie, you may want to like ease back, because it's just heartbreaking what's going on, and find ways you can help in any way you can. But that's all I've got today. Yesterday, I picked up, if you didn't see, I picked up and talked about the Python all-in-one Python all-in-one deal on Humble Bundles. I don't get paid by Humble Bundle. I just think they do. I think they do the Lord's work. What they do is they work with publishers, they work with game developers and stuff like that, and they basically offer deals where you buy their products at a discount price, and a portion of that goes to charity. You can actually modify that. I bought a lot of books on Humble Bundle, and recently now they have a one that's on Python. There's a couple of others. Most of their stuff is games, but very occasionally, there's technology books. I've gotten some really good stuff there, and I think it's awesome. I think they do some good stuff. I've not seen them do anything with Ukraine charities yet, but I guess that's sadly a matter of time, or positively a matter of time. You know what I meant by that? I meant that this is going to be a long-term problem. And as I rumors are that the U.S. is going to ban imports of Russian gas. And I think one of the things that I think is going to make uh, remote work stick is going to be the fact that I don't have to commute every day. Most people who were commuting are not commuting now. Obviously, there's a wide spectrum there, but I also think that one of the benefits of that is I don't go out to lunch. I don't drive, to and from an office every day. So people who telecommute are largely, I wouldn't say, they're somewhat insulated from kind of the spike in gas prices. I mean, I would just recoil in horror if I had to drive to Reston every day, um, at $5 a gallon gas, which we're almost at in Maryland. I complained about that on social media, that wow, it's like 4.50 something a gallon. And then somebody from California said, "Oh, I wish it was that cheap." So that's kind of the world we're in now. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out when you have companies trying to get their employees back into the office. I don't think that's going to happen, because the cost of commuting is not what it was 2 years ago. It's not what it was 2 weeks ago. So I don't think that's going to be successful. Obviously, if the labor market gets tight and people start, cracking the whip, so to speak, then I guess all bets are off. I mean, I remember after the dot com bust, and the 9/11 and all the fiasco with WorldCom and, of course, Enron, that there was definitely the technology market was for IT professionals was not robust, and it was I had a 50-mile each way commute, or 45-mile each way commute, and then the Iraq war started and the gas went through the roof, and it was just like I asked, can some of us work remotely? Can I work remotely at least 1-2 days a week? No, absolutely not. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, because there's definitely companies that prior to the pandemic, I mean, it would have been a cold day in hell for them to allow any kind of remote work. Now, suddenly they were forced to. And then now, whether it's city leaders, like you have the mayor of New York City, the governor of New York State, kind of encouraging people so they can all thrive together. because these companies have bought, commercial real estate, very expensive commercial real estate, and now they're going to need, how do you get them back in there? How do you get all that tax revenue back from the restaurants and the transit authorities and stuff like that? It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, particularly in light of rising gas prices, which they're probably, I mean, I don't want to sound alarmist, but I can easily see this getting up 7, 8, $9 a gallon here in the DC area, which means in California it's probably going to be closer to 10 or $12. So I don't know. Like, it's just going to be interesting to see how this pans out. And in light of trying to get people back to the office, I mean, I wonder how that'll work out. I mean, for me, um, and I know folks will say, mass transit, et cetera, et cetera. Mass transit is great where it is great, but it's awful where it's awful. When I did commute to downtown DC, um, you know, I would drive, and here's why, right? Um, it's a half hour to 45-minute drive with traffic to get to the nearest train station for me, nearest metro stop. Um, it's about an hour and 10 minutes for me to just drive straight to the office. And it would be probably about a 45-minute train ride. So it just, the timing of it just didn't make sense for me, at least where I live. And that is assuming that DC Metro, runs on time or doesn't have any significant delays, which is a very big assumption. It's so as someone who, I didn't have a license till I was in my 20s, I didn't have a car or anything like that. So I've done my time on mass transit, and the mass transit here is just terrible. And a lot of companies don't aren't always in the downtown core anymore. So if I get a job, and say I had a if you lived in Queens, and you had a job in Brooklyn, right? You would have to take the subway into the city and then back out, right? There is talk of having another line that kind of interborough, but that's just talk, right? It'll be interesting to see how that goes. And this isn't even touching upon the crime that you're seeing in increase in crime you're seeing in the New York City subway system, which, growing up as a kid, that's kind of how the subway was, right? Like, the last 20 some odd years in New York have been kind of on the nicer end of the spectrum. In the 70s and 80s, um, you know, I wasn't that uh, aware of my surroundings at that age, but I mean, it was definitely. If you look at Saturday Night Fever, that John Travolta movie, you'll see just how horrible, graffiti and crime ridden the city was at that time. Um, and I don't know where I'm going with this. Oh, I mean, and you're kind of seeing that it's a cycle, right? So, and you're trying to get people back to work, and amidst all of this, people, the DC metro system has never been great. Everyone says it's clean. Yes, it is clean. But you could be on it for 30 minutes. Uh, you could be on there for 90 minutes, and you never really know. Like, I mean, it was a randomized commute, and that was very frustrating. So I don't know. I don't know how this push back to the office, which is not driven by anything productivity wise. It's really driven by politicians who want to get that the tax revenue back up, as well as very powerful wealthy forces that own the commercial real estate, right? Um, how much is proximity worth, right? One of the big things in commercial real estate, is, or any real estate, right? It's location, location, location. Well, location is still important, and it always will be, but not in the same sense, right? So I don't know how that works. And this was a typical, if you're just tuning in for the first time, or you're just tuning in now, thanks for tuning in. This is kind of my typical kind of random coffee fueled um, um, discussion, but basically, talking about International Women's Day, women in STEM, and off to commercial real estate. And we're trying to get everybody back to the office amidst high gas prices. Which is, if you listen to the podcast datadriven.tv, you'll see Andy and I do a lot of wandering. You're, of course, always invited to listen to the podcast, and you can always follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Frank Diggs Data. And if you're watching this live, I want to say thank you right now. Haven't seen any comments come in, but if you have any questions or comments or things you'd like me to cover in a future live stream, please let me know in the comments below on whatever platform you're on. If you were to, uh, usually I put talk about the comments that come in live. I am experimenting with different times of day to stream. 11 a.m. is kind of a new one. Usually I do it around lunchtime or early afternoon. Once upon a time, I actually would do it like before like work, so like at 7 something or whatever AM. But that's all I got for today. Happy International Women's Day. That's all I got. And um yeah, that's all I got. Maybe it's time for me to refuel on the coffee. Um, so with that, I'm going to end the stream. Thanks for tuning in. And if you have any questions or comments, please direct them to me at various social media. I do tend to check LinkedIn messaging more than Twitter or Facebook, but you can also check me out on the following URLs. Reach out to me, franksworld.com, datadriven.tv, and impactquantum.com. And big shout out to Kim, Noelle, my wife, and yeah, that's all I got. And you have a fantastic day.